How can a bank prove that its money is its own? I was originally a top-tier lawyer, with a win rate of up to 99.9%. If I perform normally, I can send the opponent to prison. If I perform well, I can send the opposing lawyer in there with them. And if I'm at my peak, even the person holding the gavel up there, I can send them to serve time too. But an unexpected accident set me traveling to a parallel world. In this world, I am just a rookie divorce lawyer who graduated 2.5 years ago. Out of 5 cases I've taken, I lost 4. So when I first entered this body, for half a month, not a single soul wanted to hire me. Just as I was about to accept fate and quit, an elderly couple walked in. Before I could even ask, the old man spoke up. My son robbed a bank. He is charged with aggravated robbery. I want to hire a lawyer to defend him. Ideally, to reduce the sentence as much as possible. I reassured them to sit down and talk calmly. I will do my best to help you. Bank cases involve public criminal prosecution. They are usually extremely difficult. But a difficult case like this is exactly what I need. The old man sighed and then recounted the entire story. His son is named Fuan Luke. He originally went to the bank to withdraw money for his father's illness. That money was actually the old man's savings. Translation missing. But because it wasn't the account holder making the withdrawal, the bank required Vuo and Ji Lucy to prove he was the old man's son. The trouble was, even though he brought his ID card, household registration book, and even the critical condition notice, it didn't help at all. The trouble was, even if he brought his ID card, household registration book, and a status report of critical condition, it was still no use. The bank staff spoke with harsh words, insisting that the old man must come in person to personally prove that Vuo and Ji Lucy was his son. They were even more adamant about not allowing the withdrawal. So, a heated argument broke out between both sides. Right at that moment, a group of robbers rushed in, took control, and robbed the bank. The robbers found out that Vuo and Ji Lucy needed money to save his father's life. Without a word, they immediately gave him a portion of the stolen money. At that time, Vuo and Ji Lucy couldn't think straight. He took the money and ran straight to the hospital. Afterward, the entire gang was arrested. Because he accepted the money, Vuo and Ji Lucy was charged as an accomplice and sentenced to 20 years in prison. The old man filed an appeal. But unfortunately, the appellate court upheld the original sentence. The case has now entered the judicial review stage. But once the court issues the final judgment, it will no longer be possible to appeal, and the case will be considered closed for good. Listening to the old man's story, I frowned slightly. To request a judicial review, new defense arguments must be submitted. There is already new evidence. How could they uphold the original verdict? Which unscrupulous lawyer handled this case, sir? Please don't get too agitated. Let's talk it over slowly. Don't get physical like that. Last time, we went to a top law firm in Nandu. That lawyer even boasted, claiming to be the best criminal case expert. As soon as he opened his mouth, he demanded $188,000. The legal fee wasn't cheap. As it turned out, in court, he only said exactly 3 sentences. Yes, all right, our side accepts the judge's verdict. I quickly intervened. Mr. Vuong, don't get agitated. Take a deep breath. Lawyer Su, this case has a very significant impact. We heard that if a judicial review is conducted, there is a possibility it will be live-streamed. The trial's influence will be far-reaching. And it will also be broadcast live on social media. Isn't this a golden opportunity to promote your law firm? I will take this case. Furthermore, I promise you both, if the result does not satisfy you, I will not charge a single cent in legal fees. After hearing that, they both agreed immediately. After signing the contract, they left. A moment later, a female student walked in. Hello, Lawyer Su. I'm here to report for duty. After searching through my memory, I finally found information about this girl. In the memories of this body's original owner, the student's name is Lee Sujin. She is a student, an elite senior law student at Nandu Law University. Her applying to such a small law firm was only to gain some practical experience. You've come at the perfect time. Pack your things quickly and come with me to the court. Yes, Lawyer Su. Not long after, we copied the case files and brought them back to the office. After reviewing them, Lee Sujin looked worried because the verdicts in both the first instance and the appeal were consistent. This will have a major impact on the final outcome. Unless there is new evidence that can overturn the situation. Otherwise, there's a high probability the court will uphold the original sentence. Reassure her. Hey, don't worry too much. We still have a way. This case seems to have been finalized in terms of its nature. Now let's go meet Wang Lai and that group of suspects and see what they have to say. Are we about to lose? Lee Sujin asked. We haven't even gone to court yet. Wang Lai basically didn't commit any robbery. How could we lose? Back at the detention center, I faced the client. Hello, sir, I am your representing lawyer in this case. Hello, Lawyer Sue. Lawyer, please see if I still have any chance. Wang Lai asked anxiously. There's definitely a chance. Furthermore, I have promised your parents, if we don't win, there will be no legal fees. Hello, Lawyer Sue. Lawyer, please see if I still have any chance. Wang Lai asked anxiously. I'll cooperate. I will definitely cooperate. Once I've chosen to take this case, I certainly have some degree of confidence. As long as you cooperate well, reducing the sentence won't be a big problem. I'll cooperate. I will definitely cooperate. I signaled Li Zushan to prepare the minutes, starting to ask in detail about the details at the scene, as well as his answer at the first instance and appeal trials. Half an hour later, I left in satisfaction. Okay. Is a file like this a bit too intense, boss? Li Zushan asked hesitantly while looking at the new complaint. This case inherently requires a heavy-handed approach. Alright, go handle it. At the same time, the court summons was sent to Nandu Bank. The legal department. The bank was extremely shocked after receiving the notice. What? A request for compensation, physical damage and mental distress. 200. Not bad. What is the meaning of this? We are the victims. And yet now we are being countersued by the other party? What justification do they even have? The person in charge immediately contacted the legal department to handle it. At the same time, based on the special aspects of the case, such as robbing money to save his father, and a 20-year prison sentence, this topic quickly became the focus and exploded on social media. Public opinion simultaneously criticized the bank. Seeing this, the director of Nandu Bank was furious, his insides churning in the office. I asked Tai Chan the files on Nandu Bank's lawsuits in recent years, as well as the contact information of the victims. Have you finished compiling them? Li Tai Chan handed the folder to me. I flipped straight to the contact list and started calling the first phone number. After hanging up, I called the second person, using the same dialogue script. Don't just stand there dazed, come help me make the calls. With so many numbers, I can't call them all alone. Yes, I'll do it right away. All preparations were complete, ensuring not a single flaw. Now, I just need to wait for the court date. The next day, the trial opened. Because the case caused a public outcry, reporters were crowded in front of the courthouse gates. As soon as Nandu Bank's lawyer, Li Mo, arrived, the crowd immediately surrounded him. How confident are you in winning? How do you evaluate your opponent, the Ba Quan law firm? Li Mo held his head high with confidence. We have noted the comments online, and we will provide an explanation later, regarding the probability of winning the case. You don't need to worry. I believe everyone has their own judgment. This trial will be broadcast live. You can follow it. As for the opposing law firm, everyone can just search for information online to see. I will refrain from further comment. The boss walked inside. Li Zushan was worried. This trial is being broadcast live. What if something goes wrong, boss? There will be no what ifs, unless the presiding judge intentionally rules incorrectly. The presiding judge for this session is Ms. Fu Tai-ha, Deputy Chief Justice of the Nandu Court. She is famous for being fair and impartial, with a profound understanding of the law, so I have nothing to worry about. To maintain court discipline and ensure the dignity of the courtroom, I hereby announce the court rules as follows. All rise. Judge Wu Tai-ha enters. The trial is now declared open at the bank office. Director Vuong Vu and legal head Tu Tri Quang are also focusing on watching the live broadcast. This time, we are not allowed to lose, you understand? Vuong Vu spoke sternly. You understand, right? Yes, rest assured. We have prepared extremely thoroughly. Yes, rest assured. We have prepared extremely thoroughly. We must not only win, but win gloriously. To overwhelm public opinion, at the court, the judge spoke. Now, I invite the plaintiff to present the facts, the reasons and the request for appeal. I stood up and clearly stated. Our request is very simple. First, we do not accept the verdict of the first instance trial. In the appeal, my client is clearly not guilty, yet was falsely accused of robbery. 1. We propose to overturn the original sentence and declare my client innocent. 2. We propose that the defendant, Nandu Bank, must pay 200,000 yuan for lost wages and wrongful conviction. 3rd, we demand that Nandu Bank must publicly apologize to my client on short Roman 6IO platforms and social media for a period of no less than 20 days. As the words fell, the courtroom buzzed. Lawyer Lai smirked. Is this appeal request serious? Oh lawyer, for a robber daring to demand compensation from a bank? Are you planning to rob them again? The online audience also exploded with comments. This lawyer is truly something. A request like this is unprecedented. Who knows, it might even be in law textbooks. Faced with my somewhat arrogant demands, Judge Wu Tai-ha slightly frowned. At this point, Lawyer Li Mak from the bank's side couldn't help but sneer. May I ask a plaintiff's lawyer, Can you provide factual evidence and relevant legal arguments? If not, you could be convicted of obstructing judicial activities. Responding calmly. This doesn't seem to concern the defendant's lawyer, does it, Your Honor? The opposing lawyer is attacking me verbally, deliberately obstructing the normal course of justice. Requesting the judge to remind the opposing counsel. Judge Fu Tai-ha struck the gavel. It is not yet time for the defense counsel to speak. I am giving the defense counsel a first warning. Li Mo had to swallow his anger, narrowing his eyes and staring at me. The judge turned to me and said sternly, Lawyer DeBaugh, I, in my capacity as the presiding judge, have the duty to further confirm your appeal request. If there's no factual or legal basis, making false statements in court will lead the procurator to prosecute for the crime of filing a false lawsuit. I, Lawyer DeBaugh, in my capacity as the presiding judge, have the duty to further confirm your appeal request. Am fully aware of the consequences, and take responsibility for all my statements. I affirmed firmly. After the plaintiff's side confirmed, the judge invited the bank's side to respond. Li Mo said loudly, First, we request the rejection of all of Yuan Luke's lawsuit claims, while also requesting strict handling of this act of filing a false lawsuit. First, we request the rejection of all of Yuan Luke's lawsuit claims, while also requesting strict handling of this act of filing a false lawsuit. Second, uphold the first instance and appellate sentence with a term of 20 years in prison. Third, the plaintiff must compensate 500,000 yuan for damaging the bank's reputation. Fourth, the plaintiff must bear all court fees and costs for hiring our lawyers. Fifth, we request the plaintiff to compensate 500,000 yuan. After both sides finished presenting their requests, I would like to allow my client to recount the sequence of events. And Yuan Luke tearfully recounted. My father was in the intensive care unit at that time. He desperately needed money to save his life. I brought the household registration book to withdraw my father's savings. The bank staff made things difficult, insisting that my father must come in person, or I had to prove that I was his son. During the argument, a gang of robbers burst in. One robber saw me sitting on the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. He scolded me for being unfilial and stuffed 2 stacks of money into my lap. I told him I was trying to save my father. I was very terrified at that time, but because of his threats and my father's life, I took the money and ran straight to the hospital. To begin the defense, Your Honors. The first instance verdict accused Yuan Luke of being an accomplice due to communication with the suspect and knowing clearly it was stolen money, yet still accepting it. I completely reject this. Firstly, regarding subjective intent, Yuan Luke's reaction was extreme fear. In a situation where he was threatened and scolded by armed criminals, his life was not guaranteed. But according to the law, this meets all criteria for a state of urgent necessity. Therefore, he should not be held criminally liable. Bank manager's office. Du Tri Quang, breaking into a sweat, reassured manager Yuan Vu. Calm down, manager. The opposing lawyer has some skill, but the fatal blow is still to come. Back in court, Li Mak began a counterattack. I would like to refute lawyer Da's argument. But the crucial point is that after leaving the bank, Yuan Luke was out of danger, meaning he was no longer in a state of urgent necessity. Yet he did not call the police, did not return the money, but instead used it to pay hospital fees. This proves that he intended to misappropriate the bank's property from the very beginning. The judge looked at me. Does the plaintiff's side have any comments? I gave an unpredictable smile and asked a question that made the whole courtroom freeze. I completely agree with the opposing lawyer's logic. However, there's one point that you have accidentally forgotten. On what basis you assert that the money in Yuan Luke's hands belongs to the bank? Is there any evidence proving that money belongs to the bank? No. Li Mak was stunned. The audience in attendance and the live trim viewers were also in a stir. Money taken from the bank but not belonging to the bank? Then whose is it? I continued to deliver the decisive blow. Your Honor, according to the records from the procuracy, the situation at that time was extremely chaotic. The robbers didn't just grab money at the counter, but also robbed all the money from the customers who were conducting transactions. Everything was stuffed together into a sack. The robbery group didn't just grab money at the counter, but also robbed all the money from the customers who were transacting. Everything was stuffed together into a sack. The camera footage shows that the robber randomly grabbed 2 stacks of cash from that sack and gave them to Yuan Luke. These 2 stacks of cash cannot be distinguished as bank money or customer money. If the origin cannot be verified, the bank has no right to accuse my client of robbing the bank's property. I object. Li Mak's face turned pale as he stammered. I object. If the customers are inside the bank, then the bank has an obligation to protect them until the customers have left the lobby. That money automatically remains the responsibility and property of the bank. I was just waiting for that to unleash the final trump card. Prepare in advance. Oh, is that so? And I would like to recall a case from half a year ago, also at Nando Bank. A customer had just withdrawn 150 million VND at the counter when they were robbed, right in the lobby. When that customer sued for compensation from the bank, it was you who used the argument that once money leaves the counter, liability is waived to deny your obligation and cause the customer to lose the lawsuit. I spoke firmly when suing the customer. You say money leaving the counter means no responsibility. When suing my client, you say money in the lobby is naturally the bank's property. You should stop with the double standards. Your Honor, I would like to call a witness. MS. Yuan Man, the victim in that case. The whole courtroom was shaken. He officially fell into the trap I had set before the trial even began. When the witness summons was issued, the judicial police led a woman in her 40s or 50s into the courtroom. As soon as she saw Lawyer Lee Mack, she glared at him with daggers in her eyes, making him feel a sense of foreboding. After her identity was confirmed, MS. Yuan Man tearfully described, "A few years ago, I deposited a sum of money at Nando Bank. To them, 150 million VND is nothing. But it was the sweat and tears my family saved for years for my son's wedding gifts. Right after I finished withdrawing the money, while still in the lobby, I was robbed by a criminal. By the time he was caught, the money was all spent. We sued the bank. But this very lawyer used arguments. Using once money leaves the counter, we're not responsible to win the case. Leaving my family penniless and full of resentment, pointing a finger at Lee Mack's face. Now that you've been robbed, you claim the money in the lobby naturally belongs to the bank. So, will you return my hard-earned money to me? Your Honor, if the defendant doubts this witness, I still have a long list of other victims ready to come forward and denounce Nando Bank for shirking its responsibility to protect customers' assets. Do you want me to summon all of them here?" Lee Mack was speechless, furious to the extreme, but didn't dare to utter any provocative words for fear of being expelled from the court. Judge Vu Tai Hao rejected the bank's arguments and requested both sides to make their final arguments. Finally, after 30 minutes of deliberation, the judge clearly read the final judgment. Based on the criminal code, finding that Vuong Luke did not use force or threats to misappropriate property, the trial panel rejected the charge of being an accomplice to robbery against the plaintiff. However, the act of receiving and using money belatedly showed signs of concealing evidence, considering the incident occurred in an emergency situation and due to objective reasons. Sentencing Vuong Luke to 6 months in prison, but granting a suspended sentence with a probation period of 1 year, and also declared the dismissal of all previous first instance and appellate judgments. Nando Bank has joint liability and is forced to publicly apologize to Vuong Luke through the mass media and pay compensation as regulated. A disastrous defeat. Nando Bank not only lost the lawsuit, but its reputation also hit rock bottom. Right at the legal office, department head Tu Shichen went weak at the knees upon hearing the verdict. Director Wang Wu burst in, pointing right at his face and shouting. Meanwhile, social media exploded. The question how to prove the bank's money is the bank's money became a catchphrase among netizens. Even a Roman 6IO, titled Silent Shadow, mocked Lawyer Lie for pretending to be an undercover agent for Beijing law firm for 10 years waiting for this day. And in the end, Li Mo was fired in disgrace. As for Beijing law firm, after the resounding lawsuit, we began to receive attention. One day, Wang Li brought a friend named Shan Tongwei to see me. Shan Tongwei was a gentle programmer, but was in a tragic situation. His wife, Xi Jing, was a pragmatist, not only a gold digger but also plotting to seize all his private assets through legal loopholes. Listening to the story, I realized behind Xi Jing, I was certain there was guidance from a scheming matrimonial lawyer. "I'll take this case," I told Zhang Tongwei, "but we won't just sue for a simple divorce. I will help you sue her for fraud." I assigned a task to intern Li Suzhen to play the role of a wealthy woman to infiltrate the client group of lawyer Yifei, the man pulling the strings for Zhang Tongwei's wife. A new plan began. After signing the authorization contract with Shan Tongwei, the agent law firm started gathering evidence. I assigned Li Suzhen an important task, playing the role of a wealthy lady to approach the lawyer, Deep Fi, as expected. Just by hearing about the fortune of 100 billion dong, Deep Fi immediately took the bait. He pulled Tai Chen into an exclusive chat group, where he specialized in teaching tricks to circumvent the law to seize the husband's assets during divorce. And Chan quickly took screenshots and recorded all of his unethical counseling. This is the ironclad evidence showing systematic fabrication and a conspiracy to seize assets. On Tuang Dongvai's family side, Ha Tin still casually spent and borrowed from her mother, believing she would seize 40 to 50% of the assets. When she received the court summons for fraud, she panicked and sought out Deep Fi. This lawyer still confidently assured her, "Please rest assured, in a marital relationship, how can it be classified as fraud? I will help you take at least half of those properties. I will help you take at least half of those properties." However, I had calculated for another variable: the judge. The person in charge of mediation was a female judge, Judge 2-man, who originally had an unhappy marriage. Fearing that her personal bias would disadvantage my client, I suggested a small plan to Lai Tai-chan. She went to the gate of Judge 2-man's residence, acting as if coincidentally asking for directions and chatting. I stood from a distance and took a photo of that, then told Tuan Dong Moment 6 to let his wife see it on purpose. Sure enough, Ta Tin and lawyer Deep Fai fell for the trap. Upon seeing the photo, they suspected the judge had a relationship, a shady connection with my law firm. To ensure safety, they themselves, Deep Fai, proactively applied for a change of judge. Everything went exactly according to the script I had prepared. Judge 2-man was replaced by someone else, completely eliminating the risk of bias from the start. The out-of-court mediation took place in a tense atmosphere. Proposing conditions: Tin accepts leaving empty-handed, compensates Tuan Dong Roman 6 for the cost of damages, publicly apologizes, and bears all court fees. Deep Fai slammed the table in anger. We will never compromise. I smirked and packed up the documents. If lawyer Deep is so determined, then let the law decide. I only hope that by then, you will still have your practicing certificate. The real legal battle has only just begun. With evidence of fraudulent behavior and Deep Fai's tip-off in hand, I am confident I'll make the opponent not only lose all their assets, but also pay a heavy price before the law.